everybody. Good evening. It is 8 o'clock Pacific time. It's Monday evening. Time for Merle's Pearls. I'm Merle, the relationship miracle worker. I can help you find a love or fix a love. Actually, I'm an intuitive relationship coach, an intuitive love coach. And today I'm going to talk about something I haven't actually talked about before. And that is, when you were growing up, did you have examples of happy relationships that you could use as an example for how you can behave in your relationships when you were grown up? It's probably true that the older we are, the more likely we are to have had at least relationships or experienced relationships that were long lasting and that didn't end in divorce. I have to tell you, really, it's true. I'm married over 50 years, and my parents were married for their full life. I had about 7 uncles and aunts, and one of them was divorced, and it was considered a shame, a bad thing to my grandparents, that one of their sons, my uncle, would actually be divorced. And it was really a sad story because she was an angry divorcee, and she would not let him see their son. And actually, when I was a grown woman and happened to be over my grandparents, that man, who would be my cousin, came just to see what he was missing. And it's kind of sad. I think it's always sad when you have a family split, when you have divorce, and there are children, and people don't are not supportive of their ex. Now, I married my husband. Hello, Michael. He had 2 children with his wife, his ex-wife, whom, of course, he divorced. And, well, I have a background as teaching, and Nathan said to me, "I want my kids." I said to my husband, I said, "That's fine with me, but I won't be a part of a taffy pull when no, I want the kids, no, I want the kids." And the poor kids are pulled apart by each of the parents. And with that understood, that's cool. If however it works out would be fine with me. And as it happens, my stepdaughter asked to come live with us, and what happened was that his ex said, "Take one, take them both." And we said, okay. So we were able to have both children. I was very careful, however, for like graduations or anything like that, where a parent would want to be a part of this celebration. I certainly made sure that the ex-wife was invited, and that it was the ex-wife, her mother, the grandmother, and aunt. The 3 of them were what was the important people in that family, and always made sure that they were invited as the kids grew up. Once the kids grow up, they're on their own about how they develop the relationships with everybody in their life. But so isn't that funny? I started out with a conversation about what experiences have you had that can that can bolster what you learn about how to have adult relationships. Of course, there are many of us, and I'm looking at people who are watching, many of us who have been divorced. And then the most important thing, if you're a part of that, and I mean, it's a shame to be divorced, but sometimes it's better to be divorced than to be screaming at each other all the time. I mean, kids notice that. So, okay, so you're divorced, but I really feel very strongly that how you feel about your ex is completely secondary to what your children need. Christina says, my parents were married 46 years. My mom was really anti-divorce, which was why it was so shocking when I turned about 18. When I turned about 18, she had been married for a short time before she met and married my dad. Though there's more to this. So this is a whole story. Oh, when she found out her mother had been married before. You know, it's kind of interesting. So I go on for another topic. If you have children, you become aware of how much your children don't know about you. I mean, they know so much. They live in the same house. I mean, how can anybody know more? And yet, there's your kids don't know everything about you. So, okay, I understand that. But that means I don't know everything about what my parents' life was like either. And that's just the name of the game, and that's okay. But back to, see, I keep pulling myself back to the topic. How many examples did you have of happy relationships? You know, when I think about it, and when I think about my aunts and uncles and my only one divorced uncle, I don't even know if you talked about happy relationships. They were just relationships. You were just married, and and not that I saw anybody that wasn't happy, but I don't know. You were married, so you just did it. And now we have many more choices. And the choices are a curse and a blessing. It's great to have more choices. It's a shame if you are stuck in a relationship that just isn't working. That's kind of a shame, just because the mores of the country at that time keep you together. But if it's too easy to jump ship, then maybe you don't take the relationships that you have as seriously as you might. And well, I'm the relationship miracle worker, and I mean, I've told the story. I don't know if I've told it on Merle's Pearls, but it was certainly at Cracking the Relationship Code. My book will tell you the story about it. It's in the background, you can see. That about year 19 or 20 of my relationship, I was ready to jump ship. And it's my son said, well, at least you should go see some kind of a counselor or something. And we did, and it helped, but it didn't help enough. And what I realized was that I was unhappy, and I was blaming my husband for my unhappiness. And let's face it, he isn't perfect. He wasn't perfect. I'm not perfect. I wasn't perfect. So it was easy to find things to blame on him. But the things that I blamed on him weren't really the cause of my unhappiness. I was just having a midlife crisis. It was me saying, oh my gosh, here I am. I don't, what was I, 40, 45? I don't know. Uh, and saying, I think it was closer to 50, and saying, what have I done with my life? Okay, I've raised 3 kids. I got a bachelor's and a master's, and we had a business, but no, I still didn't feel like I had done enough. I had accomplished enough. And that was my midlife crisis. So, uh, you know, life is different for each of us. Sometimes loving people is a choice we make. Oh my goodness, that's every time we're loving someone, it's a choice we make. Every time. But when you know that, then you have to understand when you're loving somebody that you've made a choice to do that. And if it's a good relationship, then that's okay. But if it's not a good relationship, or he is a narcissist or something, and you're not being made happy, well, then maybe you need to think about the choices that you make. I actually was fortunate. Uh, the choices I made had to do with what I did with my life. And that's the wonderful thing. Okay, so let me finish that story. So I found out I was unhappy, and it was and I'm saying, okay, he's not doing anything to make me feel any better. I mean, he's trying. Oh my gosh, he really tried. He really cared. And so I said I had to take care of this myself. And I just said, what is it that makes, I made a list, a mental list, but you could write it down, a list of what is there that would make me happy? What haven't I done that I want to do? And I thought about skydiving, and then I said, maybe next time. But I ended up joining Toastmasters and other things, and got active in Hollywood community where I was living, and did several things that actually made me happy. And so when I would come home from work, I would say, hi, honey. And the first time I did that, oh my gosh, she said, what? I mean, he didn't say anything. He just looked at me like, is this Merle? And then I understood that I had been not being the friendliest person in the world. So that was kind of interesting. That's when I understood that it only takes one to change the relationship. You cannot change the other person. But if you change yourself, if you change how you behave in the relationship, and by the way, this is the same at work, it's the same with your kids, it's the same with your parents. If you change the way you behave, the things that you do, the things that you say, you don't change anybody but yourself. However, it changes the environment. And so that other person is responding to a different environment. It's the same person responding to a different environment. And people respond to a loving environment differently than they do to a grouchy environment. Surprise. And that's when I realized my responsibility in the relationship and my power in the relationship. That's kind of interesting. And when we understand that we are all imperfect, so when he's a pain in the butt, he's imperfect. But, c'est moi, am I imperfect? How could that be? Well, I guess it's possible. And when you have more compassion for your partner being imperfect, you know, that makes you able to forgive yourself for being imperfect. And that's everything. Relationship Miracle Worker is based on those universal truths that you can change a relationship by yourself. But first you change it for yourself. So I don't know if I've solved the problem about people that, and you can write to me and let me know if you have had the experience in your childhood of having happy relationships around you, and if it made you more successful in your relationships as an adult, or if it just, I mean, because I've seen it both ways. I've seen it, people that have parents that have been married for a long time still have gotten divorced. People that have had divorced parents managed to have a relationship that was long lasting. So I'd just be curious to see what you all have to say. And since I'm going to be closing down our broadcast now, you're going to have to write it to me. And I would like that, actually. So that's it for Merle's Pearls for Monday evening. It's been fun talking with all of you. And I'm sorry I couldn't answer more questions, but I got some good responses from you. Happy family relationships and happy friendships, but not happy spousal relationships. Well, there's something you can explore, but there's a difference somehow. I will say that spousal relationships, it's probably the one time when you feel the most vulnerable. And that's kind of scary when you feel that vulnerable. So spousal relationships are tough, that's for sure. Okay, everybody, any other questions? Let me know. Please tune in next Monday at 8 o'clock. Remember, check out relationshipmiracleworker.com. Buy my book, Cracking the Relationship Code, next Monday at 11 in the morning. It's Monday Morning with Merle and Patty, and relationshipmiracleworker.com. Did I say everything? I hope so. Have a great week. Bye-bye.